It all started in September of 1992 on a beautiful Friday afternoon in Daytona Beach, Florida. I came into the world a little bit early, about 3 weeks to be exact, and it was nothing short of a miracle. My mom had been told for years and years and years that she would never be able to have kids, and then boop, there I was. So I guess I got pretty lucky. But anyway, I came into the world as little baby Bubba. She didn't know what she wanted to name me. She wanted to make sure she found something that was right. At first, she was thinking of naming me Andrew, but then about a week before I was born, Hurricane Andrew came through, and it was a really destructive hurricane. She was sitting in her house, the power was out, and she was like, you know what, I'm not going to name him Andrew. So I'm kind of glad she did. I don't think TmarTn sounds as cool. Thank you, Mom. But anyway, at first, it was just my mom and I. My dad wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. So it was just her and I, and she had a high-up banking job, so we moved around Florida a ton, Daytona, Orlando, Jacksonville, Port Orange, all over the place. And then eventually, when I turned 3, or, when I was in my 3s, my dad decided that he did want to be in my life. And, at this point, it's past the hard newborn years, so it's kind of convenient for him to do that. But anyway, I had to start spending every other weekend with him on visitations and things. And I absolutely hated visiting him, and my mom knew this, but there was nothing she could do. It's, what the courts had ordered. So, he was it was a very deceitful and conniving person. He would constantly badmouth my mom in front of me, tear me down emotionally, and then even physically abuse me sometimes. So he wasn't a very good dude. I hated going, but I was forced to, and that's just the hand I was dealt. Now, this went on for a few years, and then when I was 6, my mom decided that she was going to move us back to Champaign, Illinois, which is where she's originally from, and the point of that was to, kind of attempt to distance ourselves from him, so he wouldn't be around all the time. I wouldn't have to see him every single weekend, things like that. And it worked out that I would still have to visit him over school breaks, and pretty much all of my school breaks were spent flying down to Florida to spend it with him. And it was awful, man. During those visits, I wasn't allowed to have friends or do anything outside of him, and all he did was work at the self-storage and car wash place that he owned. So literally, I would just sit in the back of this car wash all day, every day for 9 weeks at a time. And obviously, that's not what you want to do as a kid. So it was pretty tough, but really what I did a lot of during that time was read. I would go and rent books from the library and things like that, and I would just sit there and read. And I think that's part of where my thirst for knowledge comes from. And honestly, I guess, with every bad, there is a good. So that's kind of an upside of that, but it was still pretty tough. And things just kind of continued to get worse and worse as I got older and, more realized what was going on. And then one night when I was 11, his father, who he lived with, he held me down in a chair and he was hawking loogies and spitting them in my face while holding me down. So that was kind of the last straw. The next day when I was sitting up the car wash again, I waited for the opportune moment, and I, had all my stuff in my backpack, and I ran away into the woods. And I walked around for about 45 minutes until I found this random subdivision. And my mom had actually sewn a secret compartment in my backpack and hidden a cell phone in there for emergencies, because I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone. I was not allowed to talk to her outside of the court mandatory 30 minutes a week. And even then, my dad would listen in on those calls and, cut him short and things like that. So I used that to call her. She called her lawyer, who was local to the area. He came and picked me up, and then boom, the next morning, I was on a flight home, and I haven't seen or talked to my dad since. So, it was a pretty rough beginning. It was definitely very, very hard, but my mom was always there for me, throughout all of those experiences, and my relationship with her is so close. She's like my rock in my life, and I've never been closer to anybody else, in the world. And although it was a tough situation, I do, I'm almost thankful for it, because, it's made our bond so much stronger. But, that kind of brings us to the second part of my life, which is a much more happy one. I had an amazing childhood filled with friends and sleepovers and crushes and video games and riding bikes and, all that kind of stuff. I actually had a group of friends where we made funny, in air quotes, skip videos, because they really weren't that funny. But so we uploaded them to YouTube, and I think that's kind of where my passion for entertaining and creating and things like that sprouted. I'll have to show you guys some of those videos sometime. That'd be a fun throwback video. But we always had a lot of fun. I remember one time we were out ding-dong ditching and recording it in a gorilla suit. And we got a call from our friend's dad, who happened to be the chief of police. And he's like, hey, there's some people in this neighborhood going around with a gorilla suit scaring people. That wouldn't happen to be you guys, would it? And we were like, oh, no, it's not. And then as soon as we hung up, we immediately started running home. And it was the funniest video, man. I don't know what happened to it. I'll try to find it. But it was a lot of fun. And I was always a very active kid who was always outside, playing any type of sport. I tried everything from soccer to cross country to baseball, but my true passion was basketball. That's the one that I absolutely loved, and I still love and play any chance I get. There was nothing that I wanted more than to play professional basketball. You could find me in my driveway or up at the Y or, up at the blacktop or anything all day, every day, whenever I wasn't in school or doing homework or something like that. And oftentimes I played on multiple teams. I played some traveling AAU, and then when I was in 8th grade, I actually worked out with the local community college players, guys that were much older than me, but it just, it never worked out. I couldn't master the mental part of the game. The height was there. I mean, I'm 6'5". The skill was there. I was naturally pretty good, and I worked really hard. But I couldn't get my head around the mental part. I mean, I've always been a perfectionist. I probably always will be. And when I missed a shot or made a bad pass or committed a turnover or whatever it was, I could never get that out of my head. I could never move on to the next play. And that's something that I've always struggled with and probably always will struggle with because I want to be perfect. So it never really worked out. And then also my freshman year of high school, I was playing football, wide receiver, just before the basketball season. And I ended up breaking my thumb really bad. And that affected my ability to play basketball. And then, from there, it just kind of started to fizzle out. I don't know, it was really heartbreaking at the time, but looking back now, it's almost like a blessing because with that extra time that I now had, that's when I started to develop my passion for YouTube and for gaming. So literally everything happens for a reason. When one door closes, 10 more open. If you guys ever find yourself, up against a wall and get knocked down, look for those other opportunities because they're definitely there. Everything happens for a reason. But speaking of high school, I had a pretty normal high school experience. It was great. I enjoyed it. I wasn't really one of those guys who, only stuck with a specific group of people. I had my main friends, but I wasn't super cliquey. I was nice and friendly with everybody. I had a lot of friends, went on some dates, it got into a little trouble here and there. It wasn't really too out of the ordinary, but it was really a truly, truly good time. I mean, if you guys are in high school right now, if you're getting ready to go into it, those are going to be some of the best 4 years of your life. As soon as you get out of high school, that's when you really start to get hit with a ton of responsibilities. So enjoy it while you can and kick back and have some fun, man. I remember one really funny memory, which looking back now, it was probably kind of mean, but our school had always had this tradition where the seniors would welcome in the incoming freshmen from the next year. And, by welcome, I mean, probably not in a very nice way. But anyway, the freshmen were having their freshman orientation, getting ready for the next year of school. And this was a couple of days after we had graduated. So this was just into our summer. And what we did is we knew when they were supposed to be getting out, and we went to a friend's house and we filled up an obscene amount of water balloons, a crazy amount. And we all hopped into my truck. There were 7 or 8 of us. And I have a sport track, a Ford sport track, which is a 4-door truck with one of those shorter beds on the end. And then it also has a limo window in it that you can put down so you can kind of see from the interior of the truck to the bed and pass things through. And we had 2 guys in the back of the truck, in the seats, holding this 3-man slingshot for water balloons. And the guy in the front seat was loading balloons into it and flinging them out that back window at people. And then we also had 4 or 5 guys in the back of the truck throwing them at people. And we were literally just driving in circles around the school and around the parking lot, just nailing all of these freshmen with water balloons. It was a super hot day, so I guess you could look at it as we were doing them a favor. But some of the parents weren't too happy. And we actually had one that followed us around for 30 minutes and we were trying to get away from, I don't know. It was a funny memory. I've got a lot of those. I'll have to do some high school stories or something for you guys. But yeah, I had a pretty good high school experience. I truly did enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too. Now, let's talk about video games, fellas. This is obviously a very huge part of my life. And they've always been a really big passion of mine, even when I was younger. I remember, playing Pokemon. I would play Pokemon until my eyes bled. I can't tell you guys how many times I've beaten Pokemon Red through Sapphire. I would literally beat them and then start a new game and beat them and start a new game. I used to play so much, I would go to bed at night and I would hear the Pokemon soundtrack playing in my head when the Game Boy wasn't on anymore. And then I would wake up and it would still be playing. That's how much I played Pokemon. I was a master, man. But yeah, I still love it. I want to do a Let's Play on my second channel eventually. But anyway, yeah, so I played a lot of Pokemon. My first console was the PlayStation 2, where I played things like Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Madden, things like that. I picked up a GameCube eventually and played a ton of Super Smash Bros. With friends. In 2006, I got a PlayStation 3 when it first came out, and I got my first-person shooter, friends, Call of Duty 4, still one of the best games of all time, will never, ever, ever be beaten. I instantly fell in love with it, and I played the game absolutely 100% nonstop. Now, there was only one problem. I had nobody to play with. All of my friends didn't get the PlayStation when it came out. They waited for the Xbox 360, and they were all playing Halo 3. So whenever I went over to their house, I would play Halo. And you know, because that was like the golden egg that I couldn't get, that's what I wanted to play. I was like, screw Call of Duty, I want to play Halo. So eventually, I finally caved, bought a 360 solely to be able to play Halo 3 with my friends. So, you know, I got it. I was all excited. We were playing. And then literally a week after that purchase, they all got bored of Halo 3 and decided to switch to Call of Duty 4. So I was so salty about that, but I quickly got sucked back into COD, and you know, I absolutely loved it again. I don't know how many times I've 10th prestiged on that game. I have like probably 7 different accounts, but yeah, it was awesome. I still remember all the memories of, you know, running home immediately after school, playing all night long, saying screw homework, you know, mom, go make me some pizza rolls, I'm gonna play some Call of Duty. That's like literally so many nights of my childhood were spent like that. That was awesome. But anyway, the next big kind of like gaming turning point was when I joined Game Battles in April of 2008, so I could play some COD 4 Game Battles with my buddies from high school. And honestly, as lame as it sounds, this was a huge turning point in my life. Like, I immediately fell in love with competitive gaming, and it's all I could think about. You know, my schoolwork didn't really suffer because that was always really important to me, but my social life definitely did. And I had always been better than all my friends at Call of Duty, so I kind of stopped playing with them and started, you know, try to work my way up the ladder on Game Battles and continued switching teams and, you know, being a GB kid, super try hard, all that kind of stuff. And you know, that's just what I did for a while. You know, I continued chasing the dream for a couple of years. I traveled around to a lot of local LAN events. I went up to a few near Chicago where I actually met and became friends with a couple of pros. You know, if you guys know Dito and Nameless, I'm sure you guys have heard of them. I actually met them like back in, you know, Modern Warfare 2 and maybe even World at War at these, you know, LAN events and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I kind of did that for a couple of years, and I, you know, I wasn't bad. I actually did pretty good. I saw some success, but I didn't really see it going anywhere. I didn't see it taking off. I don't know if I couldn't find the right group of guys or what it was. You know, at the time, Halo 3 was a huge competitive game, and Call of Duty was just starting to get its feet on the ground. And around that time where I was kind of, you know, wishy-washy about what I wanted to do, that's when I discovered YouTube, and that's kind of where I decided to focus my efforts on YouTube. So I remember the first video I watched, it was a COD 4 gameplay from FPS Kyle using an M16 on ambush, and I vividly remember how cool I thought Kyle was. Like, Kyle's a friend now, and it's funny, like, looking back and thinking about this. Like, I thought Kyle was the coolest guy on the planet. Honestly, I really did, and I wanted to be able to share a passion with like the 4,000 or 5,000 other people that watched his videos. So I immediately bought an easy cap for $20 off eBay, and I got to making videos. And you know, for the next year or so, I continued to hone my craft. I you know, slowly kind of upgraded capture cards. I went from the easy cap to the Hava HD, which was not an HD capture card, even though it was in its name. And then from there, I eventually got a Hauppauge. And then, you know, I kind of taught myself, you know, Photoshop and Sony Vegas and all these editing programs and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I just kind of kept on doing my thing and slowly got better and better and made better and better videos and just kind of, you know, grinded it out for a long time. Like, I made tons and tons of videos. It only got like 2 or 3 views. So it was a long time before I saw any success, but eventually I caught my big break. You know, I had messed around with quite a few channels and ideas over the years, but eventually I decided to start the TmarTn channel in May of 2010 with the idea of sharing tips and tricks. Like, I had gained an extended knowledge of the game from all my competitive play, and the idea was to share that knowledge with the more casual players and viewers. So, you know, this was something that at that time people weren't really doing, and I actually had some pretty cool videos. Like, this was back in Modern Warfare 2 with like jumps and spots and things like that, and people had never really seen stuff like that, and it kind of took YouTube by storm, like both in terms of subscribers and viewers and things like that. Like, people really liked those videos, and they got a ton of views, you know, even more than some of my videos get today. But then it also helped me meet some of the YouTubers, guys like Woody, Wings, Onslaught, Kyle, Bash, Bendro, Dunkus, Justra, Mercadurka, Goldie. You know, there's going to be more I don't mention, but because I had these unique and new and kind of like groundbreaking videos, I guess you could say, for the time, it helped me meet them and develop friendships, and we all kind of grew as a group. Like, I remember Bash, he uploaded my Modern Warfare 2 terminal tips and tricks video, and that was a big thing at the time. He had a huge channel, and then Woody has always been like a really big mentor and really helped me out. We used to do the Game Battle series and stuff like that, and he's been a very big influence on my YouTube career. So I thank every single one of those guys. You know, I still value those friendships that I have. I'm friends with every single one of them to this day, and I think I will for the rest of my life. I think those are some of the best guys I've ever met in my entire life, and the fact that it happened virtually over the internet at first is pretty crazy to me. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, so that was in May. I kind of continued chugging along through the summer, and then in October of 2010, I received an offer to become a Machinima partnered channel, which is literally like the holy grail of gaming on YouTube at that point. Like there were only like, I'd say 7 other YouTubers that had it at that time. Like it was super exclusive. It wasn't like today where anybody can get them. So it was a really big deal. And I'll never forget the moment when I saw that email. Like I was at a high school football game, and you know, our town takes high school football really, really serious. And it was a Friday night, and it was the big rivalry game. Like Centennial absolutely hates Central, and so it was a big rivalry game. We were playing at home, and we'd all like painted up our chests and stuff. Like I was covered in like blue body paint, and I had, you know, the guys that we had in the front row, we spelled out CHARGERS, you know, Centennial Chargers. That's what our mascot was, and I was the R, and so, you know, I got this email, and I'm like, holy shit. This is crazy. And I immediately got out of there and went home. So for the rest of the game, we were the Chadgers, I guess. I don't know. I didn't even question it. Like I left, hopped in my car, and drove home. There was no question there. And then I spent the rest of the night like claiming my videos. You had to go through each and every video to be able to, you know, claim it and put ads on it. I was so excited, man. It was crazy. And, you know, that's how I got started. That's where I finally started getting paid, you know, years and years and years after I had been, you know, grinding this out and doing this as a hobby just for fun. And, you know, it kind of started off, you know, being pennies per month, and then slowly over time, it became enough to allow me to quit my job working as a busboy and doing my like side eBay thing that I was doing. And then eventually, right at the end of high school, like late in my senior year, is when it really got interesting. It was at a point where like I couldn't live off of it, but it looked promising, and it looked like it truly did have a future here in the next year or so. And so I was faced with an enormous decision, like the biggest decision I've ever had to make, and that was to either choose school or choose YouTube. You know, I'd always taken school very, very seriously. I had a 4.0 GPA all throughout, you know, everything from, you know, kindergarten to the end of high school. And I scored a 34 on my ACT. And so, you know, I was looking really good academically. I had quite a few full ride scholarships to quite a few universities. And what I decided to do was turn all of those down and go to a community college in town so I could stay at home. I could both go to school and I could focus on YouTube, because it'd be tough to do YouTube if you're in like a, you know, a freshman dorm or something like that. So that's what I decided to do, and 3 weeks into my first semester at school, it turned into a full-time thing. I got a really cool opportunity to go out to LA to work for like a month straight. It was something I couldn't pass up, so I immediately withdrew from all my classes. I said, see you later. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. You know, it's been a full-time thing since August of 2011, and I couldn't be happier. And I just, you know, I'm really glad that I made the decision I did to keep my options open and to allow this YouTube thing to kind of flourish and develop. But anyway, so yeah, we did that. I was doing it full-time, living at home. Eventually, I decided to move to LA with a couple of YouTube buddies to start the Gamer Shore. Some of you guys might remember this. It was myself, Tucker or Jericho, Brennan or Gold Glove, and then Robbie or Muzzafuzza. We all moved out to LA. We got a house together. The idea was to make this like YouTube gamer reality television web series type thing. Just like a more in real life based channel of a bunch of us guys coming together and, you know, kind of living the dream and doing all kinds of fun stuff and, you know, making funny skit videos and playing pranks on each other and that kind of thing. And we actually had a lot of really, really good ideas. And I wish we could have made this plan come to fruition, but it didn't. You know, it just didn't work out. At that time, YouTube was really starting to pick up speed for all of us. All of our channels were starting to do really well. And we didn't have the time to focus both on our channels and on this entirely new idea. So it was kind of next. We just lived together for a while, which was fun. You know, I enjoyed being out there. But, you know, also at that time, like I had started talking to this girl, and I literally started talking to her like a day before I left to move to California. So that was really bad timing. But I've been talking to her and talking to her and talking to her. And, you know, obviously she was a big part of my decision to move out. And then also I was missing home. I was missing family. I was missing friends, things like that. So probably like 8 months into moving out there, I moved back home so I could be closer to friends, family, and this girl who I thought was, you know, the girl of my dreams. So, you know, I kind of, you know, stayed at home that summer. And then eventually she was going off to school in Iowa, so I followed her against everybody else's advice. You know, my mom, my friends, my family, everybody I knew said that I was an idiot to do that, and I said, screw you guys, I'm in love, I'm gonna do this. So I moved out there, I got an apartment, you know, about 6 months later, I bought a house because I thought, you know, this was legit. I thought this was gonna be the end all be all, and then, you know, eventually, slowly started to realize that we weren't really right for each other, and we ended up breaking up a few months, or about a month after I bought a house. So Obviously that was a big slap to the face. That was a big like wake up moment, like, whoa, what am I doing with my life right now? So I know that obviously sucked. And then, a couple of days later, my basement flooded and it ruined a bunch of my electronics that I had in a closet. And it was a really big hassle to clean up. It was super, super expensive too. So, that was just kind of like insult to injury. And then I eventually moved back home to Illinois just a couple of weeks ago to be closer to my mom, friends, and family. And, things were starting to look up. I was really enjoying my time at home. I had really missed being here. And then my dog died. My childhood dog, Sadie. You guys have seen her on this channel before. It's something that I haven't really talked about. I posted one Instagram picture, but it's just it's really tough for me because she was laying by my feet when I played my first Game Battles match. I've had her since I was like 9 years old. She's always been there for me, always been through all of my triumphs and all of my failures in life, and she was just honestly like my best childhood friend. I absolutely loved that dog to death, and I can't believe she's gone. She was really old. She was like 14 and a half. And her body just started to shut down. I think it was her kidneys. That was a problem. They were keeping her from eating. And, she started to get really, really skinny. And she wouldn't eat. She was losing all of her energy. It was tough for her to walk, things like that. And the thing is like, her mind was still 100% there. She was still a happy dog. Anytime she saw me, her eyes would light up. She would want to lick my face and things. She just couldn't. And it was so hard for me to do. And we could have kept her alive for probably a few more months, but I didn't want to do that to her. I didn't want to prod her with needles. I didn't want to give her pills. I didn't want to, have her suffer because she was in pain. You could see it. And so we had to put her down here a couple of weeks ago, and it was just, it's such an empty hole in my heart. I can't believe how much I miss that dog. But, you just have to move on. You got to live with the happy memories and don't, focus on the bad part of it. Just focus on, how much fun she was since I was like 9 years old. So, yeah, that was really tough. And that kind of leads us up to where I am now. It's kind of current day. It's the summer. I'm going to be 22 in a couple of months. I'm still doing YouTube full time. I'm planning on moving down to Texas with my two best friends from high school at the end of the summer. That should be pretty fun. And just, things are starting to look up. Like they really are. YouTube has never been going so great. Like not in terms of like views and stuff. I'm doing well in that regard, but I've just never been happier or more motivated to make you guys great videos. Like I'm just really thoroughly enjoying what I'm doing. I'm making more videos than I've ever made before. I'm making at least a video a day on TmarTn and at least 4 videos a day on TmarTn too. I'm really enjoying it. Like I wake up every morning thinking about how I'm gonna entertain you guys, and I go to bed every night thinking about how I'm gonna entertain you guys the next day. And I absolutely love that. And I can't thank you guys enough for everything you've done to change my life. Like honestly, I'm a normal kid. There is nothing special about me whatsoever. For whatever reason, you guys decided to enjoy my videos, whether they're entertaining or they help you out, they help you get better at COD, or you just like to listen to some guy ramble on while you're taking a poop. Whatever reason it is, it's pretty cool. And I could never thank you guys enough. Like you guys have changed my life in so many ways. I have no clue where I would be without you all. And I hope I never have to know that place. Like I hope I never have to go there, because that would definitely suck. I absolutely love my life because I get to focus on my passion each and every single day because of each and every single one of you guys. And thank you guys so much again. Like you literally, I owe you guys everything, and I will never forget that. And I just hope that through my videos and things like that, you can find some sort of entertainment or some sort of payback for everything that you've done for me. So truly, thank you guys. I really, truly do love you all. I consider you guys my family, and thank you guys for allowing me to ramble on this YouTube thing for about 4 years now, and here's to another 4. Like hopefully we keep going. Let's get to the century mark. I'm gonna be 120 years old making YouTube videos. All right. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. That was Draw My Life. This was kind of meant to be like a 1,000 video special, since we have 1,000 TmarTn videos now. And I know I'm not the best drawer in the world, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it. I will catch you all later. Peace out.